السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. So today we're going to continue with the series, and we'll be speaking about belief in the messengers. Belief in the messengers. We're going to read you something from one of the great scholars of our era, Sheikh Saleh Fawzan. May Allah Ta'ala preserve him. He said, belief in the messengers is from the foundational pillars of Islam. And that is because the messengers, they are the go-between Allah and the creation in conveying the message and establishing the argument against the creation. So what does it mean to believe in the messengers? And the messengers, these are the men who Allah Ta'ala commissioned to convey the message to the creation. So to believe in the messengers, it means that you believe in the message they came with, and you affirm their prophecy, and you believe that they were truthful in conveying the message from Allah. And they indeed conveyed the message, and they clarified to the people that which no one has an excuse to be ignorant of. And the proof of the obligation of believing in the messengers is numerous. Allah Ta'ala, He said, وَلَكِنَ الْبِرْ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالْكِتَابِ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ. But piety is those who believe in Allah and the last day and the angels and the book and the prophets. That's chapter number 2, verse 177. And He also said, كُلٌّ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ وَرُسُلِهِ لَا نُفَرِّقُ بَيْنَ أَحَدٍ مِّن رُسُلِهِ. But all of them believe in Allah, His angels, His books, and His messengers, and they say we make no distinction between any of His messengers. Chapter number 2, verse 285. And Allah Ta'ala also said, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْفِرُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَيُرِيدُونَ أَن يُفَرِّقُوا بَيْنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَيَقُولُونَ نُؤْمِنُ بِبَعْضٍ وَنُكْفِرُ بِبَعْضٍ وَيُرِيدُونَ أَن يَتَّخِذُوا بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ سَبِيلًا أُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ حَقًّا. Indeed, those who they disbelieve in Allah and His messengers, and they want to make a distinction between Allah and His messengers, and they say we believe in some of the messengers while we disbelieve in others, and they want to take a path like this, they are truly the disbelievers. Chapter number 4, 150. So these verses, they show that there is a connection between believing in Allah and believing in His messengers, and likewise the obligation to believe in His angels and His books, and the ruling on those who try to make a distinction by saying we believe in Allah but not His messengers, they are disbelievers. So Allah Ta'ala, Him sending the messengers was actually a tremendous favor upon mankind. It was a blessing upon mankind, because mankind has an extreme need for the messengers to be sent. And it is not possible for mankind to establish his religion except by way of the messengers being sent. So the need that mankind had for the messengers to be sent is greater than their need for food and drink, because Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has made the messengers the go-between in teaching mankind what Allah Ta'ala wants for them, and teaching them what will benefit them and what will harm them, and the details of the laws of Allah, or the Sharia, and the details of the commands of Allah and the prohibitions of Allah, and to clarify that which Allah loves and that which He hates. And there is no way for mankind to know this except by the messengers conveying this, because the intellect will not guide mankind to the details of these affairs, although it may point to it in general. And then he mentions the verse where Allah Ta'ala said, كان الناس أمة واحدة فبعث الله نبيين مبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق ليحكم بين الناس فيما اختلفوا فيه. The people were one group. They were a united group, one nation. And so Allah sent the prophets as bringers of glad tidings and warners. And he sent down with them the book and all truth in order to judge between mankind in that which they differed. Meaning that mankind, as the great companion, Ibn Abbas, may Allah Ta'ala be pleased with him, he said that between Noah and Adam, so the first prophet, rather the first man, was Adam. And the second prophet sent was Noah, alayhi salam. And between them were 10 generations. So all of them were upon the truth. Meaning Adam, alayhi salam, who did Adam worship? Allah. Often people, you find some of the people, especially in the black community, they are looking for some ancient religion. The most ancient religion in the world is Islam, because the first man ever was Adam, and Adam worshiped Allah. So you're not going to find any man more ancient than Adam. So if you're looking for the most ancient religion to follow, then worship who Adam worshiped, and he worshiped Allah. Okay? And the people were upon that pure monotheism for 10 generations, up until the time of Noah alayhi salam. And then the people began to differ after that. And so Allah Ta'ala, he sent the messengers to guide the people back to the truth. He said, therefore, the need for the creation to have the messengers is far greater than their need that a sick person has for a doctor. Because if a sick person does not have a doctor, the most that can happen to him is his body can be harmed. But if the people don't have the messengers, then the harm will be upon their heart, meaning in the spiritual sense. He said, and if there were no messengers, then, or he said, and once the effect of the messengers is taken away from the earth, right? Once we no longer see the effect of the messengers upon the earth, there'll be no longer a need for the earth to exist. And for that reason, once the effect of the final messenger is gone, alayhi salam, Allah Ta'ala is going to establish the day of judgment. There'll be no longer a need for the earth to be here. How many prophets are mentioned in the Quran by name? 25. 25 prophets are mentioned in the Quran by name. And it is obligatory to believe in them specifically by name, because they were all mentioned by name. And as for those who were not mentioned by name, we have to believe in them in general. Sheikh Fawzan, he says 18 of those prophets were mentioned in one chapter of the Quran. Allah Ta'ala says, what can be translated as, and that was our proof which we gave to Ibrahim, known as Abraham, against his people. We raise whom we will in degrees. Certainly your Lord is all wise and all knowing. And we bestowed upon him Ishaq, known as Isaac, and Yaqub, known as Jacob. Each of them we guided, and before him we guided Noah, known as Noah, and amongst his offspring, Dawood, known as David, and Suleiman, known as Solomon, and Ayub, known as Job, and Yusuf, known as Joseph, and Musa, known as Moses, and Harun, known as Aaron. Thus do we reward the good doers. And Zechariah, and Yahya, known as John, and Isa, known as Jesus, and Elias, known as Elias. Each of them were of the righteous. And Ismail and Eliasa, known as Elisha, and Yunus, Jonah, and Lot, and each of them we preferred over all the creation. And as for the other 7, they are mentioned in different parts of the Quran. But all these 18 were mentioned in the same chapter. As for the other 7, they are Adam, Shu'aib, Idris, who is known as Enoch, Hud, Saleh, Dhul Kilf, and Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. So we have to believe in those mentioned by name specifically. As for those who were not mentioned by name, we believe in them in general, because all the prophets were not mentioned by name. He said, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلًا مِّن قَبْلِكَ مِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَصَصْنَا عَلَيْكَ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ لَمْ نَقْصُصْ عَلَيْكَ. And we have surely sent messengers before you, O Muhammad. Some of them we narrated them to you, meaning we mentioned them, and some of them we have not mentioned to you. Now, he said, now there's something that we should know, and that is, what is the difference between a prophet and a messenger? There's a difference. There's a difference between a prophet and a messenger. So every prophet or every messenger was a prophet. Every messenger was a prophet, but every prophet is not necessarily a messenger. So he says the difference is that a messenger is the one whom Allah revealed to. He gave him revelation, and then he commanded him to convey what he revealed to him. A prophet is, and also he said it's a man, a male individual, because all the prophets were men. It's a male individual whom Allah sent revelation to and commanded him to convey the revelation. As for a prophet, he is a male individual whom Allah gave revelation to, but did not command him to convey the revelation. Now here's a question. Why wasn't the prophets tasked with conveying the message? That's a question. Okay, so again, we said that a prophet, the difference between a prophet and a messenger. Every messenger was a prophet. Every prophet was not a messenger necessarily. And who has a greater status? The messengers have a status over the prophets. So why were those who were only prophets and not messengers not tasked with conveying the message? Anyone know?
Their conviction, strong will.
Is that okay? Anybody else? Huh? No, in order to be a prophet, you have to have received revelation. The prophets are those who receive revelation, but they were not tasked with conveying it. The reason is a good reason to know. He said, so both the prophets and messengers, they both received revelation. But the prophets, they were sent to a people who were already believers. They were sent to a people who were already believers, and they were already living by the Sharia of the previous prophet. They were already working by a Sharia of the previous prophet. They were already believers. So they were not sent to tell people something new or to call people from kufr. They were just sent there to continue teaching the people the laws of the previous prophets. So they were not tasked with conveying anything new. They were just following up and continuing what the prophet before him had already came with. All right? Now, he said, like the prophets sent to Bani Israel, they were commanded to continue teaching the Torah. They were commanded to continue teaching the Torah, right? Now, as for the messengers, they were sent to disbelieving people in order to call them to Tawheed, to call them to the oneness of Allah and the worship of Allah. So they were sent to people who were in opposition and people who were belying the message. He said, and therefore the messengers have a virtue over the prophets. And even amongst the messengers themselves, they have different virtue. Meaning we believe in all the prophets and messengers, But we understand that the messengers are better than the prophets because they are prophets and messengers. As for the prophets, they are only prophets. But keep in mind, the prophets are better than anyone who's not a prophet. So it's not that they don't have virtue. No, everyone who was a prophet is better than anyone who was not a prophet. All right? And even the messengers amongst themselves, some of them are better than others. تِلْكَ الرُّسُلُ فَضَّلْنَا بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى الْبَعْضِ. And these messengers, we prefer some over others. So out of all the messengers, the best of those are ulul azm, the prophets or the messengers of strong will. And how many of them are there? 5. They are Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, and Muhammad alayhimus salatu wassalam. They are the prophets of strong will. Allah Ta'ala mentions, وَأَخَذْنَا مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ مِيثَاقَهُمْ. And we took from the prophets their covenant. وَمِنْكَ. And from you, meaning from you, O Muhammad. وَمِن نُوحٍ وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمُوسَى وَعِيسَى ibn Maryam. We took from them a strong covenant. So these are the messengers of strong will. These are the best of all the messengers. And he said, شرع لكم من الدين ما وصى به نوحا والذي أوحينا إليك ووصينا به إبراهيم وموسى وعيسى. And we have prescribed for you from the religion that which we revealed to Noah, and that which we revealed to you, O Muhammad, and that which we enjoined upon Ibrahim and Musa and Isa. So they are mentioned in 2 different verses as being the prophets of strong will. As for even amongst them, those 5, there are some that are better than others. The best of the prophets of strong will are the 2 close friends of Allah, Ibrahim and Muhammad alayhimus salatu wassalam. And the best of the friends of Allah is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now, prophecy is something that Allah Ta'ala has to choose and select who's going to be a prophet, right? Allah yastafi min al-malaika rusulan wa min al-nas. Allah selects from the angels, messengers, and from the people. So prophecy is not something that a person can work hard for. It's not something that a person can gain by hard work or study or intelligence or a lot of worship. It's only something that Allah Ta'ala has to grant someone. And he says because the philosophers believe that a person can work himself into being a prophet. And that's why you see some of these weird, deviant people, they'll say, Pastor so-and-so is a prophet. And they just believe a person has worked himself into prophecy. No, Allah Ta'ala has to select you to be a prophet. And there are no more coming after the Prophet Muhammad Islam. It's over with. So we're going to mention some virtues of the first prophet ever. The scholars, they differ about the number of prophets and the number of messengers. That's for the messengers, they say there were 213 messengers. And as for the prophets, it's like 1,400 and something prophets. But there's like a difference of opinion about that. The first prophet ever was who? Prophet Adam alayhi salam. It has been narrated from Abu Umama, may Allah Ta'ala pleases him, that a man said, O Messenger of Allah, was Adam a prophet? He said, yes. And he was a teacher and a mukallam. And he was a teacher and he was one whom Allah Ta'ala spoke to directly. Right? So it wasn't only Musa, but Allah Ta'ala also spoke to Adam directly. He said, yes, he was a prophet and he was a teacher. A teacher. Who did he teach? Who else? Who else? The angels, right? He also taught the angels the names of everything. Allah taught Adam the names of everything, and he in turn taught the angels the names of everything. So he was a teacher and one whom Allah Ta'ala spoke to directly. Also, there's a long narration that mentioned the virtue of Adam alayhi salam. He said that the Prophet, ﷺ, he said, I will be the chief of all the people on the day of judgment. And Allah will gather the first of the people and the last of the people on one open plain. And they will see the caller call out. And the sun will be placed close to the people. And some of the people will say, look at our hard condition. Meaning on the day of judgment, the people will be suffering. They'll be sweating. They'll be terrified, waiting for the judgment to start. And they will say, go and let's find someone to intercede on our behalf with our Lord. And some of the people will say, go to your father Adam. Right? Adam is the father of all mankind. Not like some of the deviant groups believe there was somebody before Adam. There was no man before Adam. There were angels and jinn before Adam, but there was no human being before Adam. He is Abul Bashar, the father of mankind. So they will go to Adam and they will say, oh Adam, you are the father of mankind. Now they're trying to get him to do what? Intercede to stop the judgment. So they're going to begin to mention his virtue. You are the father of mankind. Allah created you with his hand. That's a virtue. And for this reason, some of the Mufassirin, the scholars of Tafsir, they say that Adam was the most attractive of all mankind because Allah Ta'ala created him with his own hand. Then they will say, and he blew into you your soul. That's another virtue. And he commanded the angels to prostrate to you as a sign of respect. That's another virtue. And he housed you in paradise. Adam alayhi salam, he lived in the paradise that we hope to go to. He actually lived in that paradise. And the ulama, they say, but still, there are things in that paradise that even Adam never saw yet. They will say, will you not intercede with your Lord on our behalf? Do you not see the suffering we're going through? Adam will say, my Lord is angry today in a way that he has never been angry before. And he will never be angry like this again. I ate from the tree when I was told not to. Nafsi, nafsi, myself, myself. Meaning I'm only concerned about myself today. Go to Noah. And he would tell the people to go and ask Noah to do it, alayhi salam. Right? So in this hadith, we see the virtue of Adam. All these virtues mentioned. How about his creation? When Allah Ta'ala created Adam, and some of the scholars, they say even the name Adam is some tafdeel, right? Adam, and it means like, and it comes from the word skin, and they say because, you know, he was like, he had the, and this shows that his having the best of creation. And some say it means like adimul art, like the best part of the earth, because Allah Ta'ala took different parts of the earth and made Adam from that. Part of the earth, you know, is black mud, part of it is yellow mud, part of it is white mud. Some of the mud is hard, some of the mud is soft. And because of that, the people came out with different colors. And also the people came out with different temperaments. Some people are hard and rigid, and some people are soft and easygoing. Now, when Allah created Adam and blew his soul into him, what's the first thing that Adam did when his soul got inside his body? Anyone know? What's the first thing he did? What did he say? Ahsantum. He sneezed. Very good. He sneezed. And when he sneezed, he said, Alhamdulillah. And he praised Allah by Allah's permission. And when he praised Allah, Allah said, Rahimakallah ya Adam. He said, may Allah have mercy upon you, O Adam. SubhanAllah. Allah said, may Allah have mercy upon you, O Adam. SubhanAllah. And then he said, oh Adam, go to those angels sitting over there and say to them, Assalamu alaikum. So Adam went to the angels and said, Assalamu alaikum. They said, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And then Adam returned to his Lord. And Allah said, this is your greeting and the greeting of your offspring amongst each other. He said, and then Allah had two, like in Arabic, it's like handfuls. And he said to Adam, choose which hand you want to choose. And Adam said, I choose the hand on the right, O my Lord. And the narrator of the hadith said, and both of the hands of Allah are right hands, right? And that's in a way that befits His Majesty. It's beyond your mental capacity to understand that, right? And then he showed him what was in his hand. And he said, oh, Adam, these are your offspring. And Adam said, oh, my Lord, who are they? He said, these are from your offspring. And every one had his lifespan written between his eyes. And Adam saw a man amongst the group that was really shining. His light was shining. And he only had 40 years of life. Adam said, oh, my Lord, who is this one? And he said, this is your son. What's his name? Dawood. And he has been written to live 40 years. Adam said, oh, my Lord, increase his lifespan from my lifespan. Take from my life and give to him. And he said, then this is decreed for you. And Adam gave Dawood 60 years, because Adam knew that he was going to live to be 1,000 years old. So he took 60 years of his life and gave it to his son, Dawood. Then Adam lived in paradise, however long Allah wanted him to. And then he was sent down to the earth. And when his time for death came, the angel of death came to him. And Adam said, you came early. I'm scheduled to live for 1,000 years. And the angel of death said, no. You remember you gave 60 years to your son Dawood. And Adam had forgot about that. And so he argued with the angel about that. And therefore, because he forgot, his offspring forgot the covenant that they had with Allah Azza wa Jalla. Shaykh Abdul Muhsin, may Allah Ta'ala preserve him, he said, for this reason, it became prescribed to write down all your contracts and agreements and take witnesses. For this reason, every time you do a contract, you need to write it down and take a witness because of our father, Adam alayhi salam, forgetting his covenant. Now, another good benefit to know is the offspring of Adam. His first two sons were, because he actually had 3 sons initially, but they had 2 first. His first 2 sons were who? They call them in English Cain and Abel, right? The one who got killed was who? Abel. And the one who killed him was Cain. Was Cain a Muslim? Cain was a Muslim. He made a mistake. He did something wrong. But Cain was a Muslim, and it's not permissible to take him outside the fold of Islam or to believe that he's not a Muslim. Cain was actually a Muslim. But, he made a mistake, but his mistake did not take him outside the fold of Islam. Keep in mind that everyone was Muslim from the time of Adam for 10 generations. And then the people began to worship the idols after they were tricked by Iblis. Nah.